Dinosaurs that were straight up psychopathic killers.
So a couple of years ago, paleontologists found this T-Rex skull with
Locked
bite
in.
marks all over its face. When they measured the spacing, they realized something pretty messed up. Another T-Rex had basically chewed on this guy's head while he was still alive, and somehow he survived it. But what's most interesting is that this isn't the only instance of dinosaurs acting in most
that ain't real.
psychopathic ways. Cannibalism, extreme aggression, behavior that is often not seen in nature. So I did some digging and I found a ton of different dinosaurs that were so aggressive you could probably...
Bro, side note, and this just makes me think of it because all of these, like, there's all these pictures of these dinosaurs. Bro, this is what we imagine they look like, but, like, we only have seen their bones ever. You know, like, maybe the closest thing to dinosaurs, like, in terms of how long ago it was alive, like a woolly mammoth, I think is probably, or no, probably like bugs, but, you know, that's not the same thing as a dinosaur. Probably a woolly mammoth. Like, if we didn't see a woolly mammoth have that hair because it was in ice and it got preserved, like its fur, like we wouldn't know it had that long hair, bro. We would just like think it's another type of like elephant creature. Like all of these dinosaurs, bro, we have no, they could have hair, bro. We just have no idea because we never seen like a preserved one. We've only seen their bones. Like if you look like the bones of like a whale or something, bro, or like a fucking, I don't know, an animal creature. It looks like a fucking demon. Or like a hippo. Like, have you seen a hippo's fucking... Hold on. Let me look up a hippo's. Hippo bones. Let's see. Hippo bones. Like, dude, if you see this fucking thing, bro. Like, with a big tusk. Well, look at this one. Like, you know, and you know how fucking... Like, look at this right here, bro. Like, you're gonna think this is like, some type of, like, unreal beast, but it's not. It's just a fucking hippo, which is still scary, but, that, you know, that's maybe not the best example. You know what I'm trying to say here, bro. Alright, let's lock in.
Psychopathic. But more on the T-Rex. You know what's weird about the T-Rex? Everyone thinks they know this dinosaur, but most people have no idea just how screwed up they actually were. See, there's this T-Rex skull called Stan. Great name, by the way. And when paleontologists first looked at it, they noticed these
Eminem reference or no?
strange holes in the back of the head. These weren't just any type of hole. They were perfect puncture wounds that went deep into the bone. And as I said earlier, once they measured those holes, guess what fit perfectly? T-Rex teeth. T-Rex, while he was still alive, and somehow lived through it.
Oh, look, see, like that depiction right there he had fur.
Teeth. T-Rex, while he was still
like,
alive.
Look at this.
And
holy shit, bro. I don't think I've ever seen a depiction of a dinosaur with fur like a T-Rex. Which I'm pretty sure they did, because I think they recently found out that velociraptors had a bunch of fur on it. It wasn't just like fucking skin and shit.
somehow lived through it, because the bone actually healed around the wounds, which means this wasn't some quick death. This was straight up a face-biting session that Stan had to endure and then walk around with scars for the rest of his life. But wait, it gets worse. Paleontologists started looking...
Also, did you know most of these fucking, like, fossils right here with the bone, like this full bone structure, like, they'll get, like, a couple teeth and, like, maybe an arm bone and maybe a fucking one part of their 85 pieces of spine, and they'll just recreate the rest and then throw it on a display and say we have the fossil of this T-Rex. Like, most of the bones in that thing is fake. It's unreal.
At more T-Rex skulls, and they found 324 different face bite wounds across different specimens. 324. That's not just a few random bites. That is a pattern. These things were just biting each other in the face on a regular basis. And these aren't gentle love bites someone's girlfriend might do to them when they're sitting in bed together.
Yo.
We're talking about puncture wounds from teeth that were designed to crush bone. The kind of bite that could punch through a car door. And then there's the cannibalism part. Yeah, they have found T-Rex bones with other T-Rex teeth marks on them. These are not from fighting marks. These are feeding
Imagine
marks.
how fucking stupid you have to be to kill your own kind. I mean, actually, humans do that. Never mind.
Kind you get when something is slowly stripping meat off bones. Even the toe bones had bite marks, which means after the big chunks were gone, they were still there picking up the scraps. Yes, your favorite movie dinosaur was actually eating its own family members. This is a fearsome Corgosaurus Rex. His name is Flapjack.
We're not even far off from that, though, because we had Jeffrey Dahmer. I mean, he did the same thing as T-Rexes, bro.
And if you don't like and subscribe, he literally is going to eat you. Look at his face. This is a fearsome apex predator from the prehistoric period.
Actually, I'm going to
describe
this
guy. You don't
guy.
want to mess with him. T-Rex face biting looks friendly compared to what happened in prehistoric Madagascar. Madagascar used to have this dinosaur called Majungasaurus.
Bro, Madagascar had dinosaurs, bro. Okay, I don't know. I don't exactly know the whole timeline for Pangea. You know, like when all of the land mass on Earth was connected. But how the fuck did Madagascar get all this shit on there, bro? Like, obviously, we've all seen the movie, and they have a bunch of they have their own animals, bro. Like, just like Australia had their own animals. Like, they had the giant sloth, which that was probably somewhere else on the Earth, too. But, you know what I'm trying to say? They had their own species of animals that branched off in their own direction, had their own traits and characteristics. Madagascar, I'm pretty sure, had the same thing, bro. But they had their own dinosaur, bro. What the fuck?
In paleontology, it was the first dinosaur where scientists could definitively prove cannibalism happened. Not just suspect it, but actually proved it with fossil evidence that would hold up in court today. Here's how they figured it out. They found Majungasaurus bones with bite marks on them, and when they looked at those bite marks under a microscope, they could see the exact spacing and shape of the teeth that made them.
I did not see that, my guy.
Every single predator that lived in Madagascar at the time. Nothing matched, except for Majungasaurus teeth. The bite marks had these parallel scratches from the serrated edges of the teeth, and the spacing was perfect. It wasn't some other dinosaur eating Majungasaurus. It was Majungasaurus eating Majungasaurus. And this wasn't just a one-time thing. They found multiple specimens with the same
Bro, they probably had a lack of food or
This
something.
was normal behavior for them. Now, you might be thinking, well, maybe they were just scavenging already dead ones. But here's the thing. Madagascar back then
I didn't think about that.
basically a desert. It was dry, hot, and food was hard to come by.
What? I
And
thought,
when you're starving,
isn't it a jungle
you don't
now?
get picky about where your next meal comes from, even if it used to walk around and have the same face as you. The researchers who discovered this said finding dinosaur cannibalism wasn't actually that shocking, because modern animals do it all the time when resources get scarce. Hell,
Hippo.
it even happens in my household. No, I don't think anything weird by that.
What?
You see these two fish tanks behind me? Well, I have this type of fish called a guppy. And if you don't know what guppies are, basically guppies have babies constantly. I'm talking about 30 to 50 per month. And the parents are so
Holy
bad at parenting
horny.
that they will literally pop out the guppies, then turn around and eat them. We as humans take it for granted, but in nature, unfortunately, cannibalism is pretty common. But there's something a little unsettling about finding fossil proof that these creatures were methodologically stripping flesh off their own species' bones. Madagascar wasn't just an island. It was a place where dinosaurs went to eat each other. Now, individual cannibals are disturbing, but wait until you see what a drought does to this species. There's this place in Colorado called Magat Moor Quarry, and paleontologists thought they'd found a normal dinosaur graveyard, just a bunch of Jurassic period fossils that died together during some bad times 150 million years ago. Then they started counting bite marks. Out of 2,368 bones they dug up, a third of them have been chewed on, and not by modern scavengers, but by other dinosaurs. And when they looked closely at which bones had the bite marks, 17% of them came from other meat-eating dinosaurs, including Allosaurus bones that had been gnawed on by other Allosaurus. Now, when you find bite marks on a leg bone or a rib, that makes sense. Predators go for the meaty parts, but these paleontologists were finding bite marks on
I kind
bones
of
and
sometimes
spine pieces. Those are the kind of
sometimes like I'll be hanging out with my fiance and I'll just, you know, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I feel like chewing on her arm. But let's keep
that
watching.
don't have much meat on them
Sorry.
at all, which means these Allosauruses weren't just hunting, they were desperate. The quarry represents a drought, a really bad one where water sources dried up and everything started dying. And when large predators get hungry enough, they stop being picky about what they eat, even if what they eat used to look exactly like them. In fact, one of the bite marks they found was so big that only a massive Allosaurus could have actually made it. So we're talking about giant carnivores fighting over scraps of
Hey, look, they have fur in that one.
and when the smaller ones died, the bigger ones just kept eating. The paleontologists studying this said Allosaurus probably weren't picky eaters to begin with, but during droughts, scavenging and cannibalism.
Oh, why is bro running like that, bro? You got what's all that movement
back
back
there?
there?
Polite way of saying these things would eat literally anything that stopped moving, including their own relatives.
How did dinosaurs
Now,
have
eating your own
sex,
species
bro?
During hard times is
Where's their
one
wiener
thing,
at, bro?
but some dinosaurs got even more creative.
Bro, like, look at this guy. Where is his wiener at, bro? Like, they have the two legs right there. They have the two legs, like, right there, bro. And usually the wiener would sit right below that. And how do they, like, anchor up? Like, turtles, like, kind of are, like, like this. How do these dinosaurs, like, oh my god, do they put it in their, fuck, I don't know how they do it.
Scientists found this Daspletosaurus fossil that tells probably the most depressing dinosaur story ever discovered. This thing got its ass kicked while it was alive.
1 second you know your dream's protected. And then...
Is everything okay?
Alive and then got eaten after it died. The skull is just covered in bite wounds, puncture holes in the back of the head, gouges on the face, chunks of bone missing, all from other Daspletosaurus teeth. And you can tell this dinosaur survived these attacks because the bone started healing around the wounds. So this poor thing lived through multiple face-biting sessions with its own species and just kept going. But the story doesn't end there, because after this beat of
Bro, people fight, like, when you fight another human, like, usually you're using your fist and swinging at their face or body or whatever. Maybe you're kicking if it's a street fight and tackling and trying to choke out. That's how humans fight. Could you imagine fighting via biting the other person's face and getting your own face bitten? Like, what the fuck? These dinosaurs just fucking came up to each other and started biting each other's face off. Like, what kind of fight is that, bro? That's just unreal, bro.
Dinosaurs finally died, another one found the body and decided to have lunch. In fact, the skull has completely different bite marks that were made after death. Big punctures and scratches where something was purposely stripping meat off the bones. They even bit both ends of some bones, which means whoever was eating this carcass was really thorough about it. Nothing was going to waste. The researchers called this a unique record because it shows one individual that experienced both fighting and cannibalism. This dinosaur got bullied its entire life by other members of its species and then finally became their dinner when it finally died. And apparently this wasn't unusual behavior. Face-biting scars show up on most Tyrannosaur fossils. These things were just constantly beating each other up and then eating whoever lost.
God
the whole thing
damn.
kind of paints a scary picture of Tyrannosaur society that's just completely brutal. You spend your life getting your face chewed on by your neighbors, and when you die, those same neighbors show up to your funeral with napkins tucked under their necks, ready to eat you. It makes you appreciate humanity a little bit more, doesn't it? Now, getting bullied by a couple dinosaurs sucks, but imagine getting jumped by 7. 7 giant predators died together in Argentina, and not just any predators. Mapusaurus, each one about the size of a city bus, with jaws that could bite through a car.
What?
Paleontologists dug them up. They found adults, teenagers, and juveniles all in the same spot.
How they died.
Ages, but they all died at the same time in the same place.
How?
Means these things likely lived together. And when you're a 10-meter long carnivore hanging out with 6 of your buddies, you're not the type of dinosaur that hunts rabbits. The only prey in their
1v7.
neighborhood big enough to feed a gang of Mapusaurus was Argentinosaurus, a sauropod so massive it weighed as much as 12 elephants.
Whoa.
It was one of the biggest land animals ever lived.
Bro, 12 elephants. This thing weighed as much as 12 elephants? Bro, what's that like? Like 2,000, like, dude, that's like fucking 40. That's like, dude, that's a lot of weight, bro. Holy shit.
Now, a single Mapusaurus attacking an adult Argentinosaurus would be suicide. That's like a cat attacking a cow. With 7 Mapusaurus working together, that is a different story. They probably surrounded it, some going for the legs, others jumping on the neck, a few more slashing at the sides. The Argentinosaurus would be spinning around trying to shake them off, but there's only so much you can do when you're being attacked from all directions by things with knife-sized teeth. But the Mapusaurus bone beds suggest that they died in the process. Maybe they got trampled while trying to bring down their target. Maybe they got stuck in mud while feeding on the carcass. Either way, they died together because they hunted together. Which means these weren't just mindless killing machines. They were organized mindless killing machines.
Wow.
They coordinate, communicate, and work as a
See,
team
they probably
to
didn't
take
kill
down
each
prey
other.
that was literally 10 times bigger than them. Pack hunting is scary enough when it's wolves. When it's 3-ton dinosaurs with heads the size of bathtubs, it
Wait.
becomes something else.
The smaller ones are 3 tons? How many tons Hey ChatGPT, how many tons does a elephant weigh?
An adult elephant can weigh anywhere from about 5,000 to even 14,000 pounds, depending on the species. In metric tons, that translates roughly to about 2.5 to 7 tons.
Okay, can you do just do the average of that and times 12?
Absolutely. If we take the average of, say, 2.5 tons and 7 tons, that gives us about 4.25 tons. Now, if we multiply that average by 12, we get about 51 tons. So that's
Holy shit, 51 tons for this fucking guy. Dude. Wait. Dude. This guy weighed 51 tons? How much did his wiener weigh, bro?
Yeah, that would be quite a massive elephant. And as for the weight of the trunk, it's a tiny fraction compared to the whole elephant. Just a few 100 pounds at most. So it's a drop in the bucket.
No,
compared
I
to,
said how much does his wiener weigh? No, and I'm not talking about elephants. I'm talking about these these dinosaurs that weighed they were 12 elephants combined, and I don't know the name, but they have really long necks.
Oh, I see what you mean. You're probably thinking of something like the sauropods, those massive long-necked dinosaurs.
Okay,
like
yes, you got it right. But how much does their wiener weigh? Probably.
That's definitely a fun question. The neck of
No,
those
no, not the neck. Their wiener. Their dick and balls.
Got it. I see what you're going for. Honestly, we don't really have concrete data.
Okay,
on
but
what
can you
kind-
guess, bro? Come on.
All right, if we let our imaginations run wild, we can say that for such massive creatures, it would probably be proportionally large too, but it's definitely all in the realm of speculation and humor.
That was a fake laugh. Back to the video.
Entirely. These dinosaurs were smart and aggressive. So yeah, land predators working together is downright terrifying. But water predators just happen to be worse. Most people think Spinosaurus just ate fish all day. Turns out those people were wrong. Paleontologists found a pterosaur neck bone with a Spinosaurus tooth stuck in it, and not around it, but physically embedded in the bone, which means a 15-meter long semi-aquatic dinosaur grabbed a flying reptile and bit down hard enough to lose a tooth process. This wasn't some gentle fish-catching behavior. This was a violent attack on something with a 6-foot wingspan. Spinosaurus lived in river systems across North Africa, and it wasn't content to just sit in the water waiting for fish to swim by. It was an ambush predator. Picture a crocodile, but 3 times longer and probably 10 times as mean. The thing
Holy
about ambush
fuck.
predators is that they're patient until they're not. The Spinosaurus could be floating motionless in a river for hours, looking like a log with a sail on its back. Then something comes to drink water, or a pterosaur
You think
gets down to
dinosaurs were
catch
gay?
fish, and suddenly there's 15 meters of prehistoric nightmare exploding out of the water. They found bite marks from Spinosaurus on other dinosaur bones too. Not just pterosaurs, but land animals that came too close to the water's edge. Which means Spinosaurus wasn't just fishing, it was opportunistically grabbing anything that got within range.
When every day feels the same, one man wants more.
I need an adventure.
So Ken goes to Expedia, the one place you go places.
The scariest part is how little warning you'd get. On land, you can usually see a predator coming. In the water, Spinosaurus could be 10 feet away, and you'd never know until those jaws are clamped around your leg.
Fuck
And
that,
once
bro.
it had you, those massive claws would hold you underwater, while those cone-shaped teeth punched holes through whatever they could grab. Modern crocodiles are already terrifying enough. Spinosaurus was just that concept scaled up to absurd proportions. So while Spinosaurus hunted alone, it was definitely an extremely aggressive predator. But let's move on to a pack hunter, because some raptors made a fatal teamwork mistake.
Ooh,
Because
Utah
paleontologists in
raptor.
Utah found a 9-ton block of sandstone that contains what might be the dumbest group death in dinosaur history.
What?
Inside this block are at least 6 Utahraptor skeletons. Adults, teenagers, juveniles. A whole family of giant
Okay,
raptors.
how'd they die?
And mixed in with them are the remains of whatever they were trying to eat when they all died. What happened was probably this. Some herbivore got stuck in what was basically prehistoric quicksand. Easy meal, right? So one Utahraptor goes in to finish it off, but the mud is stickier than expected.
No.
and the raptor is
Dude, they
too,
got stuck
and
in the
its
mud,
family
bro.
shows up. Instead of maybe finding a stick or thinking this through, they apparently decided the best plan was to also
Oh
jump
my
into
God,
the death
you
trap one by
dumbass,
one
bro.
until the entire pack was stuck in the same mud.
No,
slowly sinking
dude.
to their death. They found evidence.
Bro, that's like when rats get stuck in a damn sticky trap, bro, and one gets through, and then they all just like go beside them, and they're all just like, oh, sorry.
Some of the raptors were stepping on each other as they sank, which means this went from a simple hunting trip to complete chaos pretty quickly. These were supposed to be smart predators, and they managed to kill themselves and step over each other to try and save
That looks
themselves
like a dodo
to
bird.
get out of dying, which is pretty messed up when you think about it. These dinosaurs are known to be pack hunters, but this fossil suggests that they would literally kill their
Not
own
the
family
quicksand,
to
bruh.
themselves. The really embarrassing part is that Utahraptor were massive. We're talking about raptors the size of polar bears with 9-inch claws. They
What?
could probably take down pretty much anything they wanted. Apparently, their weakness was basic physics and mud. Each Utahraptor was built more heavily than other
was a good one.
raptors, with thick leg bones and huge muscles for jumping on
Oh,
prey
fuck
and
that,
pulling
bro.
down. All that muscle and claws, and they got defeated by wet dirt. This fossil block is still being studied, but it's already clear this was a complete disaster for everyone involved. But at least those Utahraptor died quickly, unlike their smaller cousins' victims. Deinonychus
no.
basically invented the whole pack of raptors thing that shows up in every dinosaur movie. The reason we know they hunted in groups is because they kept dying next to their food. Paleontologists found
What?
multiple sites where Deinonychus remains were scattered around the skeleton of Tenontosaurus, which was this big plant eater with the size of a small bus. The first time they found this, they thought maybe the raptors died trying to take down this massive herbivore in some heroic
Can that
last
bitch
stand.
fly?
But then they kept finding the same thing, Deinonychus teeth and bones around Tenontosaurus carcasses. In fact, they found 14 different sites across Montana and Oklahoma,
Why?
all with the same setup. Now, Tenontosaurus was way bigger than any
Can they
individual
fly?
Deinonychus. We're talking
No,
about
they
something
can't.
that could kick hard enough to shatter ribs, and it probably weighed more than all the raptors attacking it combined. So either these raptors were incredibly stupid, or they figured out how to work together. The evidence points to working together, but not in a cute.
Oh,
way you
look
see
at
in
the
nature
little cute
documentaries,
dinosaur.
or in the chaotic feeding frenzy way you see when hyenas find a dead elephant. Some researchers think the raptors didn't even cooperate that much. Maybe one Deinonychus would attack a Tenontosaurus, and if it managed to wound or kill it, the sounds and smells would attract others. Then they would all show up to claim a piece of the action, which would explain why so many raptor fossils are found with broken bones around these carcass sites. They weren't just fighting the herbivore, they were fighting each other over who got
Oh, you
parts.
dumbass, bro.
Those famous raptor sickle claws weren't just for killing their prey. They were probably pretty useful for
You
keeping their
dumbass, bro.
companions
They
at
played
arm's
King of the Hill
length
after they
and slowly
fucking
grabbed
fought
all
the
good
goddamn
stuff.
common
These
enemy, bro.
dinosaurs didn't look like
Are
they
you
shared
fucking
much with their
stupid?
family. In fact, they might have killed their family just to get a meal. So yeah,
Oh
attacks can
my
get
God.
messy, but
Dude,
sometimes
what the
we
fuck
get
is
the live
that?
snapshots of
That's a
violence these
velociraptor, bro?
fossils
I thought they were
find.
way
There's
bigger.
a fossil in Mongolia that shows exactly what happens.
Oh
when
my
a
God,
velociraptor
Chinese
picks a fight
dinosaurs.
with something its in size. The fossil is called Fighting Dinosaurs, and it's two skeletons locked together in what was clearly their final moment. On one
What? They
side,
both
you've
died?
got a
That's so
Protoceratops,
cute.
a pig-sized herbivore with a sharp
Pig-sized
tooth and a bad
dinosaur?
attitude. On the other
Oh.
side, a velociraptor with its signature claw buried deep in the Protoceratops' throat. But the Protoceratops wasn't going down without a fight. Its jaws are clamped around the velociraptor's arm, and the bone shows fractures from the bite pressure. This wasn't a quick kill. This was a prolonged struggle where both animals were trying their best to murder each other. They probably died when a sand dune collapsed on them mid-fight, which means their last thoughts were probably still focused on winning this stupid fight. Death literally had to interrupt them. The velociraptor's claw is positioned perfectly to slash the Protoceratops' throat, which would have been a killing blow if it had connected properly, but the Protoceratops managed to grab the raptor's arm and break it before that happened. What makes this fossil so perfect is that it captures the exact moment when both animals realized they'd made a terrible mistake. Protoceratops couldn't go without getting its throat cut, and the velociraptor couldn't pull free without losing its arm, so they just held each other in this death grip until the sand buried them both. The whole thing lasted probably less than a minute. but it's been preserved for 75 million years is the ultimate example
75
of prehistoric
million
rage. Two dinosaurs who refused to back down from a fight that neither of them
What is
were
this
willing to
animation?
survive. So yeah, ultimately this is a pretty cool fossil, but some other dinosaurs made beating each other a complete
Okay, this just
lifestyle.
looks like a T-Rex,
Gorgosaurus
bro.
skulls tell a story about what it was really like to be a tyrannosaur. That story is
Okay, it
mostly
is.
about getting your face bitten off on a regular basis. Like I mentioned earlier, 60% of adult tyrannosaur skulls have bite wounds on them. These are not random injuries. They are specific bite patterns around the eyes, snout, and jaw area.
Okay, they got
And
good
are all
aim.
healed over, which means these dinosaurs lived through having their faces used as a chew toy. The wounds are always in the same spots, which tells us this
Wow.
wasn't accidental violence. This was a ritualized face biting session. Tyrannosaurs had developed a whole social system based on biting each other's faces till somebody gave up. One Gorgosaurus skull has
What?
multiple gouges around the eye socket that match perfectly with the teeth. Another has a chunk missing from the snout that healed into a smooth scar. These weren't life or death battles. They were more like extremely violent handshakes. The pattern shows up
Wow.
once the dinosaurs hit sexual maturity, which means face biting was probably how they sorted out who got to mate and who didn't. Instead of showing off with fancy dances and colorful displays,
Dude, what is it
dinosaurs
doing?
licked each other's faces until the hierarchy was established. What's really disturbing is how casual this violence seems to have been. These weren't rare fights. This was happening all the time. Enough that most adults carried permanent facial scars from their teenage years. A typical Gorgosaurus probably spent its adolescence getting its face systematically destroyed by older, bigger tyrannosaurs.
Bro, they probably are
Then,
fucking a
was
little
big
bit
enough, it
retarded.
got to return the favor to the next generation. All this face
Eh,
biting
they might be
seems
good. Their
pretty bad
brains-
until you hear about the falsely
Oh, what's this
accused
guy?
cannibal. For over 50 years, Colophysis had the worst reputation in
Oh, he got fur on
paleontology.
this one.
Museums displayed it as the dinosaur that ate its babies. Textbooks called it a cannibal. Tour guides would point to its skeleton and explain how this monster would devour its own young when food got scarce. The whole thing started when a paleontologist found adult Colophysis skeletons with small bones inside their rib cages. Obviously,
Hey, buddy.
What are you doing?
Oh, just sitting here at home.
I mean, what?
I'm just sitting here at home.
right?
My grandpa
What
called,
else
that's
could
why I
they
cut
be?
off weird.
Well, turns out they weren't baby Colophysis bones at all. In 2006, someone finally bothered to take a closer look at those stomach contents. They discovered the bones actually came from small crocodiles and lizards, not baby dinosaurs. The cannibalistic Colophysis had just been eating regular prey the whole time. But even worse, some of those stomach contents weren't even inside the adults. They were just juvenile skeletons that happened to be lying under the adults when they all died together. We spent 50 years calling this dinosaur a baby killer because nobody checked the actual work they were doing. The researchers who ended up clearing
Wow, he
this
just shit
monster's
on him.
name were probably pretty embarrassed about the whole thing. But the damage was already done, and that's why we're talking about this dinosaur in this video. Colophysis still gets called the cannibal dinosaur in older books and websites that haven't been updated yet. Its reputation is basically ruined forever because paleontologists in the 1950s jumped to conclusions. Ultimately, the real story is way more boring. Colophysis lived in groups, ate small animals, and occasionally died together during droughts or other disasters. There was no cannibalism, there was no baby eating, and no psychotic behavior whatsoever. It's actually one of the most normal dinosaurs we know about and are talking about in this video. But it's stuck with this serial killer
the
image
hell?
because science got it wrong for 50 years. So while Colophysis got blamed for crimes it didn't commit, some herbivores were actual
That's how
killers.
big a
Everyone
triceratops
thinks
is.
of
bro.
Triceratops as this peaceful plant eater that just wandered around munching
Yeah,
ferns
that's
all
what I
day.
thought it is,
Well,
too.
I'm here to tell you that that's completely wrong. Triceratops
What?
killed T-Rex.
Ooh,
And we have
what?
evidence. One Triceratops brow horn was found with a healed T-Rex bite mark on it, which means a T-Rex tried to bite this Triceratops' face, and the Triceratops lived through it. But more importantly, paleontologists have found T-Rex bones with suspicious holes in them that match the size and shape of Triceratops horns. We're talking about 3-foot-long spears attached to a 12-ton battering ram. When a Triceratops charged something, physics was not on the target's side. The horn wounds they've found suggest Triceratops didn't just defend themselves, but they also went on the offensive. A scared herbivore runs away. Aggressive one lowers its head and charges. These weren't accidents.
It can run 20 miles per hour, bro.
Two massive
Holy
horned dinosaurs
shit.
ran into each other until one of them backed down or got seriously hurt. They were basically living bulldozers with attitude problems. and they use those horns for everything from territorial disputes to dating
He misspelled
negotiations.
Bulls and
But
Roughing
yeah,
right there.
T-Rex might have been the apex predator.
Oh, I don't think you guys can
Triceratops
see it.
was the thing that made apex predators think twice before picking a fight. The peaceful plant eater thing is just good marketing. This thing was a psychopath. It's like how people today think hippos are fat, peaceful herbivores. Do not ever get near a hippo. It will brutally murder you. I would rather be near a tiger than a hippo if I'm being honest with you. Hippos are huge.
I like
Moving on
them
from Triceratops,
big.
let's talk more about the
I
spike
like
wounds
them
we briefly
chunky.
mentioned. An Allosaurus tailbone sits in a museum in Utah with a perfectly round hole punched through it. The hole is exactly 3 centimeters across, and the edges show signs of healing, which means this Allosaurus lived this injury for months before dying. That hole was made by a Stegosaurus tail spike. The match is perfect. Size, shape, angle, everything lines up. A Stegosaurus swung its tail during a fight and drove one of those massive spikes right through an Allosaurus vertebrae, and
fuck.
somehow managed to pull it back out without breaking the spike off. This
Damn.
wasn't defensive behavior. This was violence with precision. 10% of Stegosaurus tail spikes show damage from hitting something hard during the life.
Grandpa called again. He doesn't understand what making a YouTube video is, but it's fine.
Those spikes show
Gotta love
damage
'em.
from hitting something hard during the lifetime. The tips are broken off or chipped, with new bone growth showing they lived through these impacts, which means Stegosaurus were regularly using those spikes to stab things, not just waving them around as threats. Another Allosaurus was found with what looks like a fatal spike wound to the hip bone, and there was no healing on that
Ooh,
one.
to the hip
Whoever
bone?
delivered that
Ooh,
blow
you don't-
hit
you wanna
something
keep good
vital,
hips
and
for
the
me, man.
Allosaurus died pretty quickly afterwards. The physics of a Stegosaurus tail swing are actually terrifying. Those
Really?
spikes could be 3 feet long, and the tail muscles were massive. When a Stegosaurus put everything into a swing,
I'm scared of
those
physics
spikes were moving
sometimes.
fast enough to punch the bone and keep going. Paleontologists have found Stegosaurus backplates with bite marks on them, showing that predators did try to attack from above. The plates weren't the real defense. They were just a distraction. The real weapon was always
Really?
behind them,
Oh,
waiting for the predator to get
fuck.
close enough. Stegosaurus could kill you with 4 spears attached to its butt, and it regularly did.
Why is
Now,
it at
spikes
that
are deadly,
angle?
But some
I feel like
herbivores
it's-
preferred the sledgehammer approach. Physics
Oh,
calculations
God.
show that an Ankylosaurus tail club could generate enough force to shatter the leg bone of a T-Rex. Not crack it,
Okay,
not
that's
bruise
pussy,
it,
bro.
but completely shatter it into
thought you
pieces. The
say some
club is
crazy
essentially a
shit.
bowling ball made of solid bone.
Okay,
attached to a
okay,
tail
never mind,
that
that's
was
kinda
pure
cool.
muscle. When an Ankylosaurus swung that thing, it was delivering about the same impact as getting hit by a pickup truck. And they have evidence these clubs
Going how
were
fast,
actually
though?
used quite regularly. But the really interesting evidence comes
Okay,
from
dude,
the
sorry, I'm
Ankylosaurs
shitting on him. He's cool.
themselves. They found an ankylosaur called Zool with damaged armor
Zool.
plates on its sides that show signs of healing. The damage pattern suggests another
blue stuff in
ankylosaur hit it
Minecraft.
with a tail club during some kind of fight, which means these things weren't just using their clubs on predators. Ankylosaur domestic
Really?
disputes apparently involved trying to break each other's ribs with bone hammers.
Oh.
The clubs only developed when the ankylosaurs reached sexual maturity, which tells us they were probably weapons used in mating contests. 2 males would stand next to each other and just wail on each other's sides until one of them gave up and couldn't stand anymore. An Ankylosaurus was basically a walking fortress that could end any argument with one swing of its tail. The fact that T-Rex bones show possible club damage suggests that even apex predators learned to give these things a very wide berth. Nobody wants to fight something that can break your leg from 3 feet away. Now, bone clubs can break legs, but some dinosaurs went on to weaponize their
Phaseophalosaurus?
entire skull. A large percentage of Pachycephalosaurus skulls show evidence of brain injuries from headbutting contests. That's a
Oh,
culture built around
God.
giving each other concussions. The skulls have these weird pitted scars on the top and side of their
Dude.
domes where the bone was damaged and then tried to heal itself. Sometimes the healing process got infected, leaving
Dude, they're
even
probably
nasty
so
wounds.
stupid,
And the
bro.
dome itself could be 10 inches thick of solid bone, which tells you exactly.
Could
how
you
much
imagine that,
impact
bro?
these
Like, dude, your evolution path that you get, bro, is that you just ram heads with each other and you just become fucking stupid, bro. Dude, that's so ass, bro.
things were designed to absorb. They didn't just bump heads gently during mating season. They were ramming into each other hard enough to cause permanent brain damage on a regular basis. One skull, called Stan Patchy, has massive gouges carved into the dome. Another specimen has a circular wound where a chunk of bone was literally punched out and then healed over. These were not
Wow.
accidents. They were the result of organized head-to-head combat between animals with weaponized skulls. The really disturbing part is that many of these injuries happen to juveniles. Young Apaches were getting their brains rattled before they even reached adulthood, which means this wasn't just territorial disputes between adults. This was systematic violence that started early and continued throughout their lives. Some of the infected skull wounds probably killed them slowly, because getting your skull cracked is bad enough, but when the crack gets infected and starts rotting, that is a whole different level of suffering. Apaches basically turned headbutting into an extreme sport, except the only prize was brain damage, and the losers often died.
They had
from
pretty cool
injuries
helmets, though,
later.
not gonna
They
lie.
spent their entire lives giving each other traumatic brain injuries as a form of social interaction, and somehow they thought this was a good system that was worth continuing for millions of years. That's why I think that is the most psychopathic dinosaur out there, because while it's not a
For
carnivore, giving each other brain damage for your entire life is just crazy. If you think I missed any other aggressive dinosaurs you'd like to see me talk about, make sure to comment them down
W
below.
video, bro.
If you enjoyed
Subbing
watching this
to that
video,
guy.
make sure to like
Spino
this video,
snack.
subscribe to the channel for
W
more
fucking-
content just like this.
W
And
video,
if you want
bro.
to watch another one of our videos, click the video
Ooh,
on
first human ancestor. Yeah, we'll have to watch that one sometime. Yeah, this guy's got good videos, man. I love dinosaurs, bro. I mean, I'm not. I mean, maybe I'm a little bit autistic, but I'm not. You know what I mean? I'm not full or whatever. But whatever. All right. Good shit, man. Good video. Peace.